When François Hollande was sworn in as President of France on Tuesday, the presidential website, Elysée.fr, started to take on an entirely different look. Most of the old content has been removed and archived on a separate site, and photos of the new head of state and his partner, Valérie Trierweiler, have replaced those of their predecessors. Once the new president was elected, his communication team started transforming the former socialist candidate's campaign site into the presidential transition website. This is the second power handover for Elysée.fr, which was launched in 1997 under the presidency of Jacques Chirac and was basically an institutional communication platform. Its interface changed radically after Nicolas Sarkozy's election and was modelled on his 2007 campaign site. The president's photo was initially omnipresent but given less focus, with the latest version launched in April 2010, which was inspired by the White House website. In addition to the presidential website, François Hollande's teams have also taken over the presidential accounts on social networks and other multimedia sharing sites. Facebook, Twitter, Flickr and Dailymotion, tens of thousands of web users are following information and updates on the French president via these platforms. The accounts are currently running in tandem with those used by François Hollande during his campaign. Naval manoeuvres back and forth across the South China Sea, anti-China demonstrations in Manila, and a wave of cyber attacks on official websites in the Philippines. Tensions have been growing between China and the Philippines over the past few weeks. The conflict is over the Scarborough Shoal, also known as Huang Island in Chinese. Both countries lay claim to these rich fishing grounds, which also contain high deposits of hydrocarbon resources. Zhang Fan, a journalist for a Shanghai-based television channel, recently planted the Chinese flag on the group of rocks. The video was widely relayed online, sparking an escalation of nationalistic fervour on the Chinese web. Businessman Yu Jingyong has over 1 million followers on social network Sina Weibo. He said in a post last week that he'd fired 2 of his housekeepers who came from the Philippines. Many web users have been backing his decision, although some feel it was unfair. And with China celebrating Mother's Day last Sunday, one web user uploaded this video, which has since been doing the rounds on the local web. A sand drawing depicting China as the parent state of the disputed islands. And finally, companies have been trying to benefit from this wave of nationalism. One shower gel brand is handing out gifts to web users that send in photos of themselves claiming sovereignty over the group of small islands. And a group buying website has launched a competition to win a trip to the islands. Thousands of web users have entered, but the trip may well end up being cancelled for safety reasons. In this footage filmed on Wednesday, we see 6 members of a UN observer mission leaving the town of Khan Shaykhun in northern Syria. Some of their vehicles are being taken away by lorries after a roadside bomb hit the convoy during their visit to this town in the province of Idlib. The attack coincided with a funeral procession for a man killed in clashes the previous week as violence grips the region. As this online video suggests, the presence of UN observers seemed to have emboldened the mourning crowds, and we hear them shout out slogans attacking the Bashar al-Assad regime just several meters away from security forces, who proceed to open fire. And just several moments after they started shooting, there was an explosion next to the UN mission's vehicles where protesters had been gathering. The government and the opposition both accuse the other of being responsible for the attack. None of the UN observers were wounded. They were immediately taken to safety by the Free Syrian Army. They spent the night with members of the opposition and were picked up by UN representatives the next day. In the meantime, however, the violence continues across the region. Here we see an officer from the Free Syrian Army claim responsibility for an attack on a regular army checkpoint. And this video apparently shows several tanks belonging to government troops being deployed to Khan Shaykhun after the observers had left.
Young inpatients, their parents and hospital staff sing and dance to the hit song Stronger by Kelly Clarkson to send a message of hope to all those fighting illness. This is the idea hatched by Chris Rumble, a young man aged 22, himself a leukemia sufferer. In this video, filmed in the Hematology Oncology Ward of Seattle Children's Hospital, an emotion-filled video which is a real success online, where it has already been viewed over 1,300,000 times in under a week.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.